Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Popcorn Square podcast. Today we are going to be talking about Disney's Snow White, box office results for that, and a little bit of the controversy surrounding that. Then we're going to talk about Novocaine. Buttons is going to be giving us her review for that. She just recently watched that movie. And then we'll be talking about April films, some box office projections, and then maybe some streaming shows as well that are going to be starting up in April, because there is a lot that is going to start up in April. And then last but not least, trailers. We're going to be talking about trailers and how many trailers is too many when it comes to promoting a film. So with all that being said, let's jump into Disney's Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Now, this film is on its second week. A lot of controversy surrounding the film, specifically with Rachel Zegler. And this film was really in production hell for quite a bit of time. A lot of reshoots. We had the dwarf issue with Peter Dinklage saying he didn't want real dwarfs in the film, which I thought was interesting. To be quite honest, you would think he'd want to spread the love there and get some more other people that aren't like him, like necessarily him, but get them some spotlight as well, because really, when they CGI'd the dwarves, when they replaced them with the human actors, which were actually in the film originally, you took the jobs away from those people, so I would have thought he might have been a champion for that, but that was an interesting take from him there. This film had a budget of $270 million, ladies and gentlemen, and it's currently sitting at $100 million. I know we did talk about what the projections were for us personally. I said 250 at the top. That's after its cycle theatrically. Buttons, I think, said 200 million.
Yeah, I said
Kage, 200 million. So it might not even get there. And right now, I'm noticing we're kind of in the era of where you get movies sent to streaming within the first month of their release. I would not be surprised if Disney's Snow White is on Disney Plus app in the next month.
We'll just kind of go with that.
Yeah.
The if we remember Borderlands,
yes.
That was a huge flop.
Yep.
I think that got sent straight to stream about a week later, maybe 2 weeks if I'm being nice.
2 weeks.
That's saying something. You know what I mean? They were in a rush. Like, let's just make room for another reel in our storage room or something at the theaters, you know what I'm saying? Let's just get this out of here so we can just get the next thing and move on with our lives. And I was reading the people's reviews online of people who didn't see it in theater, who waited for the stream, and they're like, that was awful.
Wow. And to piggyback off that thought process there, I have some information on the box office that I'm going to read, and then we'll look at some critical response reviews as well. Not personal reviews, but just a general idea as far as scoring, because there was some things going on with the IMDb score, which really hurt Snow White when it was released. And that was right after they lifted the embargo for reviews. I believe it got a 2.3 out of 10 on IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes about the same. But this was the box office. As of March 27th, 2025, Snow White has grossed $52.6 million in the United States and Canada and $43.9 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $96.5 million. I guess they have that 100 now because we're into Saturday. The Hollywood Reporter surmised that the film would need to gross $500 million to reach its box office safety net. I would argue you need a lot more than that. I would say about $700 million, honestly. Let's look at critical response. On the review aggregator website, Rotten Tomatoes, 41% of 231 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of a 5.2 out of 10. The website's consensus reads, Snow White is hardly a grumpy time at the movies thanks to Rachel Zegler's luminous star turn, but its bashful treatment of the source material along with some dopey stylistic choices won't make everyone happy either. And I would say that's a pretty tame review, to be quite honest. Metacritic, which used a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 50 out of 100 based on 49 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+. Wow, so bouncing around there. But let's go back and actually look at that IMDb score one more time. I don't know if that was official critics on Snow White. Let's see if we were just looking at the average, not average necessarily, but the overall general consensus with this. I wonder if they're going to show it, because I actually heard that they removed it. It was so bad they removed the actual the ratings.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So
because they don't want to influence people's decisions.
1.5 out of 10. So it has dropped, ladies and gentlemen, from 2.3 to 1.5 out of 10. So Snow White is completely finished.
Sharknado's looking pretty awesome right now.
Isn't it? It really is. Does anybody want to adjust their box office tally?
Cut it in half?
No, I personally think it's still, because obviously what's going on in the US is not going to impact worldwide sales. So I still think that they're still going to get some money international wise. I think they're going to make it to that 200 mark. But as far as, you know, the political drama around what Zegler said about Trump, like all of that is going to really only impact United States. I think a lot of the extra sales from international will move the movie along. It, to me, is going to be one of those things where it's just purely for the U.S. It's done. We're not going to see a whole lot of extra.
It's going to make
revenue.
if it makes any money, it's going to be because of overseas. Because
I
it's pretty
believe-
much dead on arrival in the States.
Right. I believe, and honestly, I think it's mainly because this is not, in my opinion, going to have a lot of rewatchability for people. The same people who went and saw it the opening weekend or the second weekend, they're not going to go back and watch it again, I don't think. You know, kids may want to watch this movie if, you know, you had them young enough, and obviously they're not going to know anything about the drama or anything like that. But if, you know, for the kids who are like, oh, I want to watch the same movie over and over and over again, parents are going to wait for it to go stream, and then they're going to stream it on Disney Plus. So there's not going to be a whole lot of extra money box office revenue wise for this. They're going to be like, yeah, I took our kids, we saw the movie, kids were happy with it. When it goes to Disney Plus, they'll watch it to their heart's content, and you know, that'll be it. But
We're
I don't
not
think they're going
gonna
to drive them back
Spend
to
the time and the money to go watch it again.
Right. And I mean, I will say this is when I was watching Novocaine, Snow White was out, and there were a surprising number of adults that were going in to watch the movie.
Did say that off mic.
And yes, there was kids, but the adults were the ones who were dressed up as Snow White, and
Wow.
the kids were not. So, I mean, not to say that they're not going to, you know, the kids are not going to be your main audience for Disney movies, but especially with this one, I'm wondering why there seem to be so many adults that were
Makes you wonder,
wanting to
you
see
know,
this
if you
movie.
didn't have the Rachel Zegler thing with her and Gal Gadot, even the comments about the political landscape, and maybe if the writing was tweaked a bit better, you know what I mean? So they're not, I guess, marginalizing anybody. How good would this movie have done?
And I'm
Makes you wonder.
And I'm curious about like interviewing a child. Hey, did you like that?
Oh, what they think.
Because at the end of the day, that's your bare minimum right there. Disney movie needs to be entertaining to the kids. If it holds their attention, then it's just like that's a small victory. It's
Right.
it's something.
Well, you know.
You know, the
kids-
adults are going to go for nostalgia because, like, I remember the Snow White movie when I was a kid, but then when you take your kids, they don't know about the original movie. This is the original movie to them. And if you're a good parent, you're going to go home and say, okay, now we're going to watch the real thing. So you can purge your brain of what you just saw here. Get that neuralizer from Men in Black.
You won't remember anything.
Yep.
I mean, there's always going to be that little bit of push when it comes to kids where it's like, oh, Amy and her friends saw it, or you know, all of my friends in school, they already went and saw it. Like, so this is the movie to see.
Right.
Like, I want to be able, so I don't
Like
feel
an
left
event
out.
for the kids.
Yes, exactly. It's an event for the kids. Oh, have you seen it yet? Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, yeah, our parents are going to take us next weekend, or we're going to go see it, you know, this weekend, or whatever. So, I mean, there's always going to be that draw. So, to Kage's point, you know, if you can get the kids interested in it, then you're going to have
Correct.
a drive where the parents are going to be like, fine, we're going to go watch it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll take
even
one
if-
for the team.
Exactly. Even if they're not interested in, you know, because of all the drama surrounding it.
happens,
If the
yeah.
kids are on their, you know, on the ground kicking and screaming because you won't take them to go see Snow White, you know, there's going to be a percentage of the population that are going to cave and be like, fine, we're going to go watch
And
it.
this is what we talked about regarding Snow White, as far as like if you take the Disney princess element out of it, is it out of its time, even for this generation of kids? Do they care? Or is there another person, like, they're probably into Elsa, like, you know what I mean? They're like, Snow White, like,
Well, and
what?
True.
you know,
Trends play a factor.
well, to your point, is I did see a funny spoof video where it was talking about, you know, that change, right? So most of the Disney princess movies that we grew up with as kids, at least here at this table, the princess was saved by the prince. Like, that was the majority of princesses. They had somebody who went and saved them. Now, they may have also participated in their own, you know, rescue or whichever, but most of the time they were being saved, kind of like Princess Peach in Mario, right? Like, she's the damsel in distress and they need a somebody to come save them. And Snow White is no different from that. But this movie is very different from that. My understanding is no, she doesn't need a prince to save her.
right.
She
And
goes
Zegler
off
was saying a lot of that.
She goes off and saves herself.
She called him a
and-
creep.
Well, and so, I mean, if you take it out of context, most fairy
Course,
tales,
but it's an
most,
animated film. It's
yes,
not-
but again, you can take a lot of things and take them out of context and say, oh my gosh, that sounds creepy as heck. Like,
It's so funny. I saw something more recently about Dragon Ball Z.
Sleeping Beauty's the
and,
same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
that sounds like,
Yeah. So that was a running
Master
joke.
Roshi,
Oh God.
they were like, can he even be in Dragon Ball Z anymore? Like, you know, he says a lot of things that are kind of like, they had that thing with the Looney Tunes stuff with Peppy. They were
Right,
like,
Pepe, yeah.
says a lot of
Yeah.
wild stuff. You
Right.
know what I mean? But
Yeah,
at that
it's just-
time, you're just kind of like, yeah, it's a joke. But the thing is,
It's-
it made it funny because it was a cartoon. But when you really break it down, it's like, yeah, I guess. And then, you know, the climate changes too. So they're
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
like, yeah, we can't say that.
Yeah, we can't promote this.
And there was a lot of
anymore.
stuff in those Looney Tunes cartoons that was wild. That was just one thing I was talking about.
Right.
We're not talking about the others.
Oh yeah. If you go
Oh.
back and
But
watch
it's
stuff
like,
from the 90s,
yeah, I could
it's
see why
crazy
they would
what
take
they put.
certain things out. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
change it. But
Right.
it all depends why. Sometimes there's good reasons, right?
I mean,
But wow,
you
Snow
get
White.
you get into an element where you're sitting there and you're like, from one standpoint or from an innocent standpoint,
Right.
oh, it seems sweet or romantic or whichever, and then from another person, there's like, no, that's not consensual. That's like,
That's wild.
that's craziness. Wait a minute, he's how old and she's how young? She's supposed to be like 13, 14 years old. And
Pocahontas, dude.
well, exactly, and many of those
If you really
things-
want to tell it,
right, exactly. So you sit there
can't.
and you go, oh, this
Little
is-
Mermaid.
Look,
it gets wild, bro.
It really does
Like-
when you start looking at how a lot of these stories were written, the time that they were written, and how they've been adapted over the years makes a big difference. So if you want to say, hey, we're going to take a lot of these older stories, revamp them, rewrite them, make the woman the heroine, and reintroduce it to a younger audience and say, hey, look, see, it's not your traditional story of the damsel in the distress.
Right.
Now she's a badass and she can, along with her, band of warriors or whatever. I don't know what they're making the seven dwarves be in this, but because I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Maybe they're just comic relief throughout the whole movie. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they fight. I'm not sure, but you're sitting there and you're going, okay, yeah, no, the story is no longer about her needing to be saved. It's about her saving, her saving herself
What's
or
that
her
term
whole
they
kingdom.
use? I think they called the dwarves like nightmare fuel or something like that. Like,
well,
something like
the
that.
CGI, yes, that I honestly.
They should have really just let it be the humans,
Ran with it.
honestly. And they really did do a quick about face on that when Dinklage was like, "Oh, you shouldn't do this, and that." And it's like, this guy's not even in the movie.
And then
What?
that
Like,
that
anyway,
pissed off
man.
other.
I just think it
little
was
people.
kind of selfish of him to do that. Because, let those people get work.
Yeah.
You're not in it. Well, who cares if you're not in it? You're still getting represented. It's going to help you in the end. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought his argument was the fact that they didn't use.
No, he said they shouldn't be using human dwarves.
Oh.
That's why they changed them to CG dwarves, because it was humans originally.
Well, no, I knew.
And
I
that
knew
was
it was
a whole
humans,
thing,
but I thought
too.
they weren't. I thought they weren't little people, though. That was.
think
I
they
thought that
were.
was his. I
No,
thought that
they
was his
were. I
argument
think
was
they
that they
were.
weren't little people, and they just picked like
And we'll
seven
pull up-
random guys.
No, they were little people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then there were other actors in Little People World that were like, he doesn't speak for us. Like, they're even mad at him, you know? So it's just like...
Right, and
No.
so that kind of piggybacks into your point right there, because maybe you did hear that, and it's like a conflicting thing. But if they're saying that, then that means it had to be Little People.
Right.
Because if it was normal size, they'd be like, well, whatever, not our fight, you know what I mean? But, yeah, that's interesting. Kage, you have anything as far as Snow White and why this failed, other than what we already spoke about?
I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, honestly...
And by the way,
we can
not
do
to
a
cut
whole
you off,
episode on this.
but the 270 million's production. We're not talking marketing either. So
Right.
the film probably cost 350.
Right.
370.
I've seen a lot
It's
of
bad.
comments
Not
where
even
they're
breaking
like,
even.
they had rewrites,
Not
they
even
had
close.
to like you were
Lots
mentioning
of
before,
reshoots.
the reshoots, the
I think
change,
the film
the
initially got
pivot.
finished shooting in 2023. You know, so, and now you're getting it in 2025. So post doesn't take that long typically, right? But when you have all these different things popping up and you got to make changes, obviously it takes longer for the film to get put out, and then you get the film out and it just does this. It's like, wow.
makes it feel so long ago.
Disney wants to forget about this quickly.
Well, it makes it seem so long ago when the internet bullied a studio and made them redesign Sonic. But they were better off for it because they did it, and the studio that did it,
listened.
the studio listened. But right after they did it, I think that did the character design, they went out of business,
I mean,
or they shut down.
that did the initial character design.
Yeah,
I mean, I get
or
it.
like, well, because that poured into their funding. That cost a lot of money, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But that's the joke in Hollywood, at least with that movie, is like the internet banded together and bullied a studio and actually got them to change it. And what do you know? It actually worked. And now
And
Sonic
so you
has
know
3
what's
movies, and
interesting?
it's
that is a case where it did work.
Right.
And even then, it was kind of a different time from now. And like, so Paramount's a little different, right? Because they've kind of taken control of it, like adapting the video game thing, and
Yeah.
they make it work, and they figured out how to do this. They have the recipe down for that, but Disney has this arrogance, so they're like not taking any
We're
type
Disney.
of like outside criticism, right? We're gonna do it how we're gonna do it. But what happens is the people that are speaking on the film, critics, if you want to call it that, and just people in general that are going to watch the film, may or may not watch, they have the power to just crush the film's box office, just off everybody saying, we're not watching this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if enough people say that, you get the Disney Snow White effect where no one watches the movie, right? And so they have to figure out, all right, you know, what did we do wrong? And so now they're just blaming Rachel Zegler, which we knew that was going to happen. That's part of their playbook. This is Rachel Zegler's Brie Larson moment. She's basically finished. So that's interesting. Buttons, Novocaine, you want to go into this quickly?
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and throw some numbers out real fast. So what I saw as far as budget for this movie was 18 million. Currently, box office worldwide is sitting at like 22.5 million. So they are definitely not in a good position. I mean,
What studio did this?
I'm not 100% sure.
Let's see, hold on.
Paramount?
I want to
No,
say
distributed by Paramount, production company, Infrared Pictures, Safe House Pictures, Circle of Confusion. Never heard of it.
it's a smaller studio, but it is distributed by Paramount. So this is going to end up on Paramount Plus. I would say within a couple of weeks, it's going to be on streaming for Paramount Plus.
What do you rate
I
the movie?
enjoyed it.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. It's one of those movies that if anybody had seen the trailer for this movie, you already know what you're getting with it. It's not a serious movie. It's a comedy. It does have some action in it, but the action is not a bunch of explosions and that kind of action. It's not serious action. It's goofy, slapstick kind of action. Because the guy is supposed to be just a random, you know, he's like a bank manager. He's like a vice.
Just an ordinary dude.
Right, like an assistant manager, right? And he works at a bank, and he falls for one of the tellers who works at the bank, and there's a robbery that goes on, happens at the bank, and she gets taken as a hostage, and so the whole movie is him trying to get her back after she's been taken as a hostage. When everyone's telling him, like, hey, don't be a hero, like, let the police chase after her and rescue her and all this other stuff. And he's like, no, it's, you know, they have her now and she's gonna, you know, get injured or get killed or whatever. And so he feels he has to take it upon himself to go chase after her. The whole movie, guys, it's not believable. Nobody is doing this in real life. Nobody's going to like believe that if he went out, even with, and I've heard of what his disease, it's a genetic disease, basically. He can't feel pain. So he has to be very careful not to accidentally hurt himself because he won't know until, you know, he looks down and sees like a trail of blood or something that he cut himself, right? So it starts off, you're introduced to his character and he's this shut in, like, almost like what a hypochondriac would be, like they're afraid of everything, right? Like he doesn't even eat solid food, which seems ridiculous, but he's explaining it to the girl as, oh, if I'm not careful, I could bite my own tongue off and swallow it and not realize it because I wouldn't feel myself, you know, eating my tongue. And so again, I have no idea how believable that is in real life to what the actual illness would do to a person, but he kind of explains it as, oh yeah, my parents, you know, they were super paranoid as soon as they found out I had it, and so they, you know, treated me with kid gloves my entire life, and here I am, 30 years old, and I'm still this shut-in
So he didn't
recluse
have
guy
get exposed to gamma radiation and something just happened. This is something he's had.
his entire life, right? So that's the premise of the movie. Now, if you can get into the explanation of it and then, you know, just kind of turn off your mind in terms of the believability factor, then you're going to have a good time at the movie. Like I chuckled many times throughout the movie. I think the audience that I was with, they got a good kick out of a lot of the jokes in it. It was not full. It was not packed. I think maybe advertising for this movie could have been a little bit better. It wasn't a big budget movie, which is going to save the studio some money because obviously it has not done well. Maybe they were banking on Randy Quaid to bring in more audience people. People be like, oh, it's the guy from The Boys. And be like, oh, he's doing a movie, let's go watch it. I'm not sure if that was the angle. But the story is definitely one that's been told before. We've seen bank robber, you know, movies. There's nothing truly original about the story other than the fact that he can't feel pain. But other than that, I think overall my rating for the movie would be like a 6.5. So stream it. I would definitely say it's worth watching. If you're not going to see it in theaters, it's definitely one that if you enjoy just kind of like that slapstick action kind of comedy, it hits all the marks in that regards. There are some interesting scenes where, you know, you're sitting there and if you're a little bit squeamish about pain or, you know, violence or anything like that, they don't make it overly gory. They don't make it overly
Terrifier?
aggressive. Yeah. There is one scene at the very end that is a little bit like if you're a little more squeamish, there's he gets a broken arm and there's a scene where, you know, he has to use his arm to fight the broken bone. And that one's the only one where, I mean, it's not, again, he's not in pain, so he's not screaming in agony or anything like that. You can still enjoy it for it being the funny moment that they're trying to make it.
So there's no like Happy Thanksgiving.
Fatality.
No, although I will say that was the one comparison I did make with Mortal Kombat was when he's using his arm to like jab and kill the other guy with the bone, and that's the only part where it's just kind of okay. That's a little bit much, but again, the whole movie itself is a bit much. It's out of the realm of believability, even for his illness that he does have. An average person, and this guy is not an average person. He's like a very sheltered, shut-in person. He has like no physical fighting skills or anything like that. He's not
the guy you would think would be in a fist fight with anybody or just trying to defend himself in that manner.
Yeah. I think Kage had made a good comparison where it looked similar to like the premise behind Crank. But Randy Quaid is not Jason Statham.
Right.
You know, so when you have Randy Quaid playing this character, it's almost like this goofy guy that might as well have been. A good comparison maybe would be the TV show Chuck, where you have
Or-
the character who's very nerdy, and all of a sudden he has to fight people, but he has no skills to do this.
So he plays, and I can't say I know nobody bite my head off, but it's like he's not in too many things that I know of. I think anyone who sees Novocaine is most notably going to recognize him from The Boys,
right.
And he plays a similar type of character. He's not a hero. He's not trained in weapons. He's not a bad. He's just a regular dude, and he's kind of nerdy. Like, I just want to be with my girlfriend and pay my taxes and go to work and blah blah blah. And that's just how he is. But he gets thrust into this world that he didn't know, that he's not really involved with. He's not familiar with this violence and everything.
They took my girlfriend, and now I have to go rescue her. Again, we're talking about, they're supposedly in a small town, so it's not hard for him to go try and. Although actually, I think they did say it's supposed to be in California. I think it's supposed to be some part of California, and it's got a small town feel to it. Like he works at
Fresno.
a small. He works for like a small
Bakersfield.
bank. He works for a small bank. I actually want to say it was Santa Barbara, but
Oh, wow. Close enough.
right. So, but we have the whole fact of, again, this movie is not serious. It's a story that's already been told. It's just enjoyment, guys. It's really, can you sit down and can you watch somebody be used like a punching bag, and he just keeps going because he's like, I have to get to my girlfriend and save her.
Well, I think you did a good job breaking down that film without giving too many details, but it gives somebody that hasn't seen this film, doesn't know anything about this film, an idea of what they're walking into. You're not propping it up to be some Oscar contendee.
No,
Yeah.
You know what I
definitely
mean?
not.
You're like, this is a fun film. It's like Crank. If you've seen Crank, you know what you're getting with Crank. Crank's awesome.
Just a lot of action.
Although he doesn't try and screw anybody on a car, so.
Oh, no. I'm not
front of a
watching
bus.
this then. Right.
But that's why we have the unedited version on Blu-ray. But
Kage has that.
no, I don't got that I got that locked in.
April Films, ladies and gentlemen.
Ayo.
April Films. Kage.
Yeah,
Can you run down some of those
so-
titles?
I mean, there's a lot. I'm going to give you the good news and bad news. Good news is there's a lot of movies.
A lot of options.
I didn't say they were good options.
But there's options nonetheless.
Yeah, and like I kind of look through them and nothing is really screaming at me. I think it's easier to say what movies are of interest as opposed to the ones that aren't interesting. I think really the only film that I would be willing to watch is The Amateur, starring Rami Malek, who he's not in too many things that I've paid attention to. I know him from Night at the Museum, Mr. Robot, both great show, great movie.
He was Moon Knight for
Moon
Disney
Knight,
Plus.
he played Freddie Mercury in the Queen biopic.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes, thank you. So like I like him in the things that I have seen him in, and I saw the trailer for this, and I'm like, this looks like something I might go see. Actually, might be the only movie I'm really jonesing to see in theaters. Another movie we talked about this, and I might see this if I'm really hurting for something to watch. Everybody, Until Dawn comes out this month, April 25th. So that comes out April 25th. And I apologize, should have said this. Amateur comes out April 11th. So we got a good movie, hopefully a good movie coming out April 11th, Amateur. And then you have Until Dawn, which is coming out April 25th. If I don't see it in theater, I'll at least watch it on stream because it's based on a game that I like, that I've played. Obviously, I'm going to want to compare the two and see how different it is. And right out the gate, anybody who's seen this trailer, if you watch a trailer of this and you watch a trailer from the game, you'll see that it's not anything in common. They only did two things in common: the name Until Dawn and what's his name? What's the actor? The one actor everybody knows.
The voice actor you're talking about?
The
one
voice-
from from the game?
From the game. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Peter Stormare. So Peter Stormare is in this movie just as he was in the game with his voice and his likeness, playing Hill, or Dr. Hill as he was in the game. I don't know if he's going to be a doctor in this. But yeah, a group of teenagers who are just going to get killed one by one. But they got this time loop thing, so maybe it would be more interesting if they changed the name of it, because again, it doesn't really fit. It doesn't match the game at all. But no, aside from that, yeah, there really isn't much that I'm seeing in April. There are some good movies that are coming later in the year, just highlighting some Tron Ares that comes out later in the year. We got 28 years later, that's coming out. So we do have some good movies coming out, but they're not for a while. Okay.
Kage missed the best movie in April, The Accountant 2.
The Accountant 2.
He doesn't know anything about The Accountant, I don't think. He needs to watch that.
Okay, I've been corrected, ladies and gentlemen. I need to watch this.
And then Sinners is our wild card.
Right, yes.
Wait, wasn't that
Me
the
and
horror?
Buttons are talking
That
about
is
that.
that's
Yeah,
the horror
okay, I'm
vampire.
looking at it,
Recently
at
just
it.
talked about that because they put out another promo for IMAX and I'm not watching it.
Right.
I'm tired of it. I'm done.
I think I watched the second trailer, and I just said no. No.
No.
I was like, I watched the first trailer. So I had looked up, and this was back in January. I'd looked up all these movies, and they didn't have trailers yet out for Sinners. And I just kind of read a brief synopsis of it, and I said, oh, okay, I don't think I'll be seeing that one. That sounds not interesting to me. And then when I saw the first trailer for it, I was like, oh, okay, now this looks interesting. And then they released the second trailer, and I was like, well, now this looks like I already know the whole plot and I have seen the movie, and I was deflated by that. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the fact that, how many trailers are we really wanting to see for all these movies? Because in my opinion, if you can get me hooked with one trailer, I don't need 3 more trailers. I'm
Correct.
good. You
I want to
got
know
me.
what Kage thinks about the trailer thing too. I think that trailer discussion we could talk about for an hour alone.
Right.
No, I agree with that
Trailer thing
100%.
is insane at this point in time, and some studios are doing it right, some are doing it wrong.
I honestly think we've talked about this before.
I think we
in
have
the
touched
past.
Well,
on
we-
it. I think we have.
Well, I would say an underlining theme of our entire podcast, regardless of movie genre, is we've all agreed less is more.
Yep.
It's not about how much you show us, it's the quality of what you show us. And
Because
so
I-
if you put one trailer that kind of gives you just enough, just what you need to know, here's the plot, here's your players in the story, whatever.
sufficient.
And okay, you got me. If it's a good enough story, you will get me in one trailer. I'll even give you some time, some freedom here and say, okay, you're going to do one trailer to show, hey, this movie's coming out. And then months will go by, a year later. And then you're going to want to put out another trailer to remind people, hey, by the way, here's this thing, it's coming out. And that's all you need to do. But again, that second trailer that you put out, it needs to not give out too much. No more than that, short and sweet. Because you got these red band trailers, these 5-minute trailers that pretty much hits all the highlighted points. And I'm like, well, crap, I don't need to watch this
I will
anymore.
give you credit, both you guys, for the amateur, because I know Buttons brought that up. You brought that up now. But that has been a film that has seemed to come up in conversations. And before we go on with some more April films there, Kage, are you going to be watching A Working Man?
Working Man.
That was
Or did you,
Jason
did I-
Statham.
Oh,
Did I
yeah,
talk you down from that, or are you gonna
I
watch
forgot about that.
Okay.
Well, you
I
also
forgot
have,
I wouldn't
about
say that's a no, but
you
he'll
also
stream
have,
it on Amazon.
I'll stream it.
Havoc, right? That
Havoc
one-
is going to be at the end of April, and
End
that's
of
Tom
April,
Hardy.
right.
and
Okay,
I think
yeah,
you might be interested in that. That's a Netflix original.
Yeah,
That's going to be action-based as well. I'm glad you
Right.
brought that up.
thank you.
Does anybody think this Minecraft movie is going to do good?
I personally, watching the trailer for
Yep,
Minecraft,
yep, yep.
okay, obviously it's geared towards kids. Like I get it. So maybe kids are gonna sit there and go, great, wonderful. I personally think it's out of its time. Kids aren't playing Minecraft as much anymore. It's more, I think I was talking to somebody else and they were like, yeah, it's like Roblox and
Similar, but yeah,
what's
different.
what's the fighting game? The shooting, it's like a shooter game.
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is I don't think Minecraft is okay. Kind of like what they did with Mario, multi-generational.
So-
Yeah.
Minecraft is like one generation, and I think it's a generation
That's
like
been passed
behind.
Yeah.
Like as far as what's current.
This
I feel
movie
like-
should have came
So-
out 10 years ago.
Correct.
I
That's what I'm
will
saying.
say this. I just looked this up. So I myself have played Minecraft back when it was first coming
Which
out.
was- Want to give us a time frame for that?
Like 2
What?
centuries ago.
Okay.
But I look really good for my age,
So a good generation.
No, but- no.
I'm just playing into the point that I was trying to make about it being a
Right.
generation behind.
Minecraft is the best-selling video game of all time, with over 300 million copies sold and nearly 170 million monthly active players as of 2024. So people,
How many active?
170 million
So
monthly.
I mean, the audience's
Just because they're not-
potential is there.
So here's what I say. I'll play devil's advocate and say, I believe the adults, the people that played Minecraft like me, are gonna we're gonna look at this movie. This is stupid. But the kids that are playing Minecraft now, they love all things Minecraft. They're buying plushies. They're buying
Yeah, it doesn't
Minecraft
matter.
Lego. It's just
movie.
more
It's an event.
Minecraft.
It's kind of like where you were saying, not necessarily the same, but you were saying how like Snow White would be an event for the kids because everybody's
Right.
like, did you see it? Did you not see it?
Yeah.
No, you didn't see it. So he's saying that the Minecraft thing could be like that.
But
So-
let
so
me
I
make
think-
a
Talk
direct
about it.
comparison real quick for you, just to give you an idea of where my mindset is on this. Lego movies. Do you think that it was because kids play with Legos, so they were super interested in Legos to go see the Lego movie? Or do you think it was a bunch of kids who watched the Lego Ninjago series and all of the the Lego Jurassic Park ones, and all of these like little mini cartoon
So
shows
the Lego-
who wanted to go see the Lego movies?
So it's a combination. It's kind of a combination of both. So the Lego is like
It's a big brand that
it's like a pop
you go
cultural
back-
thing that's not just U.S. It spans across the globe between children and adults, and even elderly people are doing Lego. And Lego is not just sitting at your table doing blocks. They've made movies, they've made games, Lego Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter, Lego Jurassic Park. They have all these games, and they're very, very popular. They do, granted, it's kind of
So it's not even a good
niche.
comparison because
Well-
Lego's like more popular.
Well, no,
Lego's
See,
huge.
this is what I'm trying to get at is Lego is multi-generational.
Correct.
So, you go several generations back, and then when they start, to your point, start tying in Legos to not just building blocks, but this is the Star Wars Legos. This is the Lord of the Rings Legos. This is they had to start doing this. The Lego company had to start doing that to draw in more people.
Yeah.
Nobody's going
Lego's
out
the
and buying.
foundation, but everything else is the gimmick.
Right. Now, with Minecraft, here's my thought. Minecraft came out 20-ish years ago, right?
20, well, I remember playing it in 2011, and even then I caught it a little bit late.
Okay. So my point is this, is anybody who was a kid, maybe when Minecraft first came out and they rode that wave and now they're adults, to what you're saying, they see this movie and they're like, oh, I'm going to take my kids to get them interested in Minecraft. I think they're about 10 years too soon to get that audience. Now, the adults who are at that age where they're like, oh yeah, this was my childhood. I grew up playing Minecraft. I'm going to go watch the movie. They're maybe 30, right now. I don't think if they don't have kids that they're going to want to go sit down and watch Minecraft. This movie doesn't
agree.
appeal to them.
But if your kid wants to watch a movie,
Well,
go
right, and that's what I'm saying.
Frozen, Snow White, or whatever,
But
you're going to take your
she's
kid.
saying that the generation of kids now, I know you're saying there's like a lot of users, right? But if you were to, this is the thing too,
If
you have to be
half your
around kids.
audience
So
is
if you're not
kids-
around kids, you don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Fair.
You see the users, but you don't know how many 10-year-olds play Minecraft. I can tell you a lot don't.
Right.
It's
Well,
like
right
Roblox.
now, Roblox,
Fortnite, that was the other one I was trying to
Roblox
think
is
of.
more popular, but I do
Correct.
have this here. So Minecraft started in May 17th, 2009, and I got into it in 2010, 11, and I dropped off of it, but it's still going. They're still adding updates. Hell, they've added it to Android and iOS now. It's everywhere.
And I think it's how
and
they
did-
approached the movie because
And
they
it's
were
how
like,
they approach
who
it,
are
but,
these
like-
actors? Like
Right.
Jason Momoa's in it, but it's like
This is a Borderlands.
black in this?
Yes,
Yes.
this is a Borderlands situation where you got
Yeah.
weird casting.
Yeah.
And these people, you have no problem with these people in movies and stuff,
yeah.
but then you slap them together and you try to make it a cohesive story. Now, it's Minecraft. They can do whatever they want with the story. And maybe that's a, what's it called? Word I'm using for, I was gonna say something deep, y'all. It's like a
It's gonna
meta.
be
It's like a meta.
transcendent.
It's like a metaphor, though. No, because what do you do in the game? Whatever you want.
right.
What are you gonna do in the story? You can kind of make
whatever
it
you
up.
want.
Now, granted, you can't say whatever you want because there's budgets. This is a job. People have to, so you have to make
You
a
saying
story
it's
just
like
to make
not
money.
tied to any lore?
It's not tied to any lore, as long as that they
It's the
just
same
like
thing
what
with
did
the
I
Lego
say?
Movie. They didn't have to tie it to a
Yeah,
specific
you have Batman like a-
storyline.
But you
Well,
have to follow
well,
the
Batman
basic
one was tied to
tenets of Minecraft, like creepers have to explode.
Right.
You have to find shelter. You have to have food. Like you have to obey the rules. As long as you're whatever story you write is fine.
Is the
as
world
long
of
as you-
Minecraft the essence of the film? If you do
That's
that,
what I'm
you
talking
got it.
about.
So, and to your point, when they did the first Lego movie, the big bad thing was the Craggle, okay? Well, what was Craggle? To a kid who doesn't know how to read, Craggle was crazy glue, okay? It was a Craggle.
I remember
This
Fraggle Rock.
Minecraft movie is going to be the experiment of
Right.
April.
Right.
You always have
You-
an experiment. Snow White was like the experiment.
But I'll
this
say
is gonna be
this.
interesting.
I'll say this. I believe kids are more likely to go see Minecraft than Snow White.
At this point, yeah.
Because
White's
Minecraft's
If
got
they
more.
can- if
At least
they can
Minecraft
piece-
is more recent, culturally recent.
If they can piece
relevant.
it together,
It's like,
it's like
palatable for them.
It's like the Angry Birds movie.
Yeah.
Like, Angry Birds movie actually did very well for itself. You
Mm-hmm.
had 2 movies out of that. I mean, I'm wondering if maybe that's what they're thinking with Minecraft. They're like, oh, we take something that doesn't really have an actual storyline, we give it a decent story, and people will enjoy it because they're going to be like, oh, it's got all of the elements of Minecraft that I played as a kid.
It's
or
like, yeah, it's
I'm
like the
currently
studios pillaging.
Right.
Like we talked about the live, let's adapt this because, oh, there's this huge fan base that's not being exploited. They'll go watch it. And this is Warner Brothers too, so this is not any small studio. So I think there's a lot of money pumped into it, but I think definitely we'll be talking about Minecraft and the performance
Whoa.
once we meet up again because I think it's going to be very interesting. And that comes out on, I believe it's either the 4th. The 4th Minecraft releases. So that's going to be
Really
interesting.
soon.
Warfare, A24 film I've been hearing about recently. That's going to be coming out in theater. What do we got? We got Sinners. We talked about Sinners. We talked about The Accountant 2. That's a whole video I could do on my own.
When is
That's gonna be great.
Ballerina set to come out?
June.
June, okay.
We talked about Until Dawn. Kage, are you out on that? You're out? Don't like it?
Not gonna see
I'm
it in theaters,
leaning-
Maybe wait till stream.
Honestly, that's probably the best thing I can give you right now.
Yep. Havoc, Netflix. I think you might like that. You can watch
Yeah.
that on stream at
Yeah,
home.
that's the Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And I would say for the most part, that wraps up April. So there are some titles. Everything's subjective, though.
We'll kind of go into our last topic though, just talking about streaming, what's going on in April.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Shows.
shows, yeah. So for anybody interested, I've talked about it a few episodes now. The anime Solo Leveling just ended its season 2 today. So if you are an anime fan, if you've heard about it, and I'm sure you have, now's a great time to go see the show. Season 1 and 2 are now on Crunchyroll, so go check it out. It's absolutely amazing. Other than that, we have Last of Us Season 2. That's a big one. That's a huge one.
It's a big.
That's a
one.
big one, and that comes out April
That's
13th, guys.
HBO Max.
On HBO Max, yes, yes, yes. So we're gonna see how pissed off everybody gets. All you non-gamers out there, I'm sorry. That is all I'm gonna say.
Kage is gonna have a field day with this show.
Yes, I am, because that world does not give a damn about your feelings. There is no happy.
And we're gonna love Button's commentary because outside of some friends, colleagues, and relatives kind of telling her the direction, she doesn't know about Last of Us like that. She did watch season 1, but she didn't play the game. So that's what I mean by basis of knowledge. Where Kage did play the game, so you have two different perspectives.
Yeah, I'll
so
be
it's gonna
going in with fresh
interesting
eyes.
to
So
see
I
what
won't
she
say
thinks.
I won't say anything. I will let you lead, and then you'll tell me what you saw, and I will tell you what really happened if they go way off tangent. But the show seems to go different than the game in good creative ways, and I think that's awesome. If you're going to expound upon stuff in the game, like you're adding more to it, you're not like pissing off the fan base, so to speak. You're like giving more context to something maybe you wanted to hear more about that you didn't get to in the game. You know, I think that's really great storytelling. And that's what happens when you have the creative director of the game, Neil Druckmann, working on the show as well.
Right.
That's really cool. Whereas Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon visited the set. He consulted and stuff, but he wasn't that in-depthly tied to it, you know what I mean? So I think this show is going to be really good.
It's gonna take over April, huh?
Yeah, and it's going to suck because the only thing that's going to suck about it is they're going to do you dirty and they're going to release one episode at a time.
That's in 2 weeks,
So
ladies
some
and
people are like, me, I can't wait. I got to watch it. Other people, they're probably going to go, I'm just going to wait for the season to be done and then watch
binge
and
it,
then
huh?
binge it. Now, keep in mind, these episodes are typically an hour-ish. Maybe the pilot or the first episode of the season might be a little longer. HBO tends to do that with some shows.
So you don't think you're gonna get a good 2-episode premiere out of this one? They're not gonna do that.
I
'Cause
haven't.
we have seen
I-
streamers. I know Amazon does that, but
Yeah.
Max is.
I
different. They're
haven't.
the
I
only-
haven't heard anything. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
but
Max
mean-
is more traditional.
yeah, I'll
You
take what.
get your one episode.
But I'll take what I can get, and I trust the, not necessarily it's a Max thing, but I trust the direction, the director. I know it's going to be entertaining. I know it's going to be good. The question is, are the non-gamers going to be happy with what transpires? I will leave it at that. Another thing that's coming out is the Devil May Cry anime series on Netflix.
Yep.
Right.
And that's coming out, where did I see it? Hold on, folks. April 3rd.
After that, not to butt in there, you have Black Mirror season 7 starting up too
Okay, see, we got
on
shows.
Netflix.
Yep.
I think April is looking pretty good for streaming.
Buttons, was there anything else there that you saw in April? Pretty packed.
Yeah, so Apple TV is going to do, John Hamm's got one coming out, Your Friends and Neighbors. And that one, I think, is kind of like to me, I
Is it a
think
drama?
it is a drama. It's a little bit more like a suspense, I believe, kind of show. It's not, yeah, it's, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but it does have a good couple, you know, it's John Hamm, Amanda Peet, Olivia Munn. So
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Something
Got
that you're
some
gonna have
big
to
names
watch,
in it.
Buttons. If not tonight, maybe tomorrow sometime. That movie Holland you talked about is out.
Oh,
So go ahead and watch that. I sent you that Rotten Tomatoes
yeah.
score.
I mean, there's been some streaming movies that have been coming out, and of course, you know, Netflix has a couple of shows. I've been trying to catch up. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of content that I'm trying to stay on top of. We had a lot of stuff come out in March, and even though some of these shows, to Kage's point, they're going with that formula where they're only releasing one episode a week. We're seeing a lot of the streaming services do that. Apple TV does it. Netflix is doing it with select shows where they'll either release one episode a week or maybe a chunk of episodes, and then you know, or like Disney Plus does it too, where
Yeah.
they might be like, oh, here's the first 2 episodes, and then we're on a weekly schedule, just to like tease you and get you excited.
Well, you know what it,
and
you
pull
know,
you in.
well, you know what it is. for some shows that are really big and popular, I'll use Fallout as an example. There's a lot of non-gamers out there who kept hearing about this Fallout show, how every episode's a 10 out of 10, and it's amazing. And it's like, and I've heard people, and I've read forums where people are like, I'm not a gamer, but this Fallout thing sounds like it could be pretty cool.
Right.
Oh, I don't have Prime. So what do? They get Prime just to watch that show. And here's my point. The studios, the streaming services, they know where their cash cows are.
Right.
What's going to get people to subscribe, like a show or set of shows that's so good that people will sign up specifically for that. And so if we put the entire show out, then people are just going to buy it for a month, binge the whole thing, and cancel it. But the
Exactly.
companies get more money if they string it out little
So
by
you're talking
little,
about how
one
they actually put out the
episode.
show, the format, and how they put it out? That's what you're
Right,
talking
that's
Yes.
why they do it, though.
Well, and
If we
and-
string it along slowly, then you're not going to cancel your
Well, dude, that's
service.
just traditional TV.
well,
right.
right. So Netflix
We
is,
got very comfortable with the Netflix give you everything at once stuff.
but
Uh-huh.
now, as I mentioned, now Netflix is changing it
yeah,
up
they're
to
reverting back, right?
right, and that's because they're losing subscribers. To Kage's point, that is probably one of the big reasons why, because you have so many other options. You're like, well, I'm tired, I can't find anything to watch, so I'm
Right.
going to cancel. And then when they find out a next season of one of their popular shows
Yep.
is coming back, like Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things is going to come out around June. I bet you there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to resubscribe to Netflix
To watch it.
just to watch the final season of Stranger Things, because they're going to be like, oh, I can't miss my Stranger Things. They're finally ending it
It's so funny,
after
too.
12 years.
Yeah, just like you were saying, because there's so many
Not
other
really,
things on
guys.
different streaming services, now you can go from one streaming service to another and the cancellation doesn't even affect you because you're only trying to watch Stranger Things or Wednesday. So if I know Wednesday
True.
comes out in October, I can just watch Reacher for this and then I can go watch Last of Us for this and then it, you know what I mean? Like, now some of these they got to stagger, but
Right.
you're not so worried about because there's so many options now. Oh man, I don't have Netflix, so what do I do now? I have 4 other options now. I'll figure out something.
But to
Yeah.
Kage's point is by stretching them out on weekly episodes,
Just keeps
if
you more
say,
engaged.
Hey, you got 8 episodes. That's 2 months. So a lot of these streaming services, I'm sure they're sitting there looking at it and going, okay, we're going to release a big show in January, and it's going to weekly episode to
Right.
end of February, and we're going to release
How
another
do we
big
keep
show
you on the
to
app?
keep you exactly.
But this is why we talked about the White Lotus and the stagger. Like they had White Lotus and then they have Last of Us right after. But then
Right.
before White Lotus, it was Penguin. Like it's like boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. So you're
And that's what these
continuously
streaming-
on. And then
yes.
in between that, there's movies that just came out. So how can we keep you on as much as possible so you
Right.
don't have to say, I'm out of here. I'm going over there. Because the competition's just getting harder and harder.
Before Max, and this is just my point of view, you know, when back in the day when I used to have Max as part of a cable package,
Yep.
not just a streaming, the only thing that I really, apart from an occasional new release movie, and I mean, guys, this that isn't a big thing anymore. Like that, for the most part, you can get most streaming services will release the bigger title movies eventually. Just wait a couple of months. But it used to be Showtime, Cinemax, and HBO were they had like the first dibs on the big titles. Like they were the ones where it's like, yeah, you're gonna get the bigger movie release titles first off of those cable extra add-ons, right? Like those aren't your normal cable channels. They're premium cable
Yeah.
channels, right? So back with HBO, it was Game of Thrones for me. Like that was probably, you know, I want to say maybe the only show that I really paid attention to on HBO. Apart from, you know, several years before that, I maybe watched a couple others. But when it comes, yeah, because like I used to watch True Blood back, and that was like early 2000s, True Blood. But other than that, again, Game of Thrones was the only thing that I was really tuning into HBO to watch.
Wasn't True Blood Showtime?
No, True Blood, well, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, guys. Don't quote me on that. But either way, the point that I'm trying to make is that HBO, I had...
'Cause I remember Ray Donovan was on there.
Ray
Anderson, I
Donovan
used to
was
like
on,
that a lot,
okay.
but I feel like True Blood was like around the same time.
It could be, but one of the big things that I'm noticing with these streaming services when it comes to regular television or cable shows, Netflix, or maybe it's, no, Prime. Prime, for example, has been reaching out to some of these other premium cable channels like AMC and Discovery, I think, is Disney now. Like, you can get a lot of the stuff that they would have put out on cable on these streaming services. Paramount Plus is a big one where you can catch a lot of these. Hulu has always been one of those ones where it's like, hey, all of the new ABC or NBC shows or whatever, you might not catch them the same day that they release on ABC, but the next day,
Yeah.
or NBC or whichever, the next day, you can go stream it off of Hulu.
Wow.
And I feel like that's kind of, you know, a lot of these streaming services are adapting for that so that you keep the streaming service because, yeah, you might not have premium cable channel anymore. You might just have streaming services. And we
That's
have the
what it is.
hookup.
Yeah.
We have the hookup for those shows that you might still want to see without having to pay for a cable package.
Right.
You know?
Keep you on the app because
Exactly,
it's just
keep you on-
changing. The business is
exactly.
changing altogether. So you were right. True Blood is an HBO original
Okay.
series. For some reason, it was like because it's like HBO and Showtime. Some point, it seemed like the content was almost like this, where they could be like, oh, it seems like it's an
Interchangeable,
like the
yeah.
quality was really good, and it was the same type of content. Like
Yes.
Showtime had adult stuff. HBO always had adult content on it. You know what I mean? But let's talk about just box office expectations for films in April. Not all of them, and then we'll talk about the last real conversation, which is going to be the trailer thing that we touched on a little earlier there. Out of all these films in April, which film do you think performs the best at box office? This is kind of going to be a tough one. I'm going to go out and just say either The Accountant 2 or Minecraft. And me saying Minecraft sounds weird, but if you look at a lot of the movies that are coming out in April, it's not a lot of big ones with blockbuster potential. Doesn't mean they're not good. I think The Amateur is going to be good. Is it going to make a lot of money? Don't know. Warfare might be good. Is it going to make a lot of money? A24 movies don't make a ton of money, and they don't
Right.
put a lot in, so they don't have to. Sinners, that's a $90 million budget. If
And
it's
they're promoting
good,
it
right,
hard,
if it's
too.
good, it can make a lot of money. Sinners might, if it's good, that one might be the one. The Wedding Banquet, Sneaks, Death of Snow White. Wouldn't it be funny if that made more money than Snow White? Yeah,
What
the
about
Death of Snow White,
Screamboat?
Kage,
Screamboat Willie, that one needs to make like a crap ton
Oh
of
my
money.
Popeye the Slayer Man. I'm gonna show you that trailer. Popeye the Slayer Man.
I saw it. I saw it.
Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Is it gonna, if
I
they
feel like the
cannot
horror
mobilize the
movies
fan
make
base,
money, they just don't
right?
make a ton of money.
Correct. And if they can't mobilize that Until Dawn fan base that they're trying to get to go watch this movie, that movie's gonna be dead on arrival.
It is dead. It is
Havoc
dead
is
on arrival.
Netflix, so you're not gonna get a box office there.
Right.
So, and Kage liked that game. So if he's telling you it's dead on arrival, I'm sure there's other people that share
Well, I
the
mean,
same
like
sentiment.
like I talked about it before. This isn't just me. Go on YouTube right now and look at the trailer and read the comments. Go on Reddit and type in Until Dawn movie, and you will see that you can tell who the gamers are. You can tell who the gamers are because they're down there.
They stand out.
They stand. Yeah.
I'm like, what's this?
What movie you think is gonna do the best?
So me personally, I hate
I'm
to
gonna say The
say.
Accountant 2, and I'm being kind of biased.
Well, right. I mean, if I were going based off bias purely on the movies that I'm actually most interested in, or which are The Amateur and Sinners, are the ones that look the most interesting to me. I personally would probably have to say that, unfortunately, I think Minecraft is going to make the most money, and then maybe Amateurs. The Accountant, I feel like they haven't been, and I could be wrong, maybe they'll start really promoting it really hard and get a lot of people drummed up on interest on it, but I feel like they've been marketing heavier on those other two movies and even Minecraft they've been marketing hard on. So I feel like The Amateur hasn't been getting enough attention. And it's one of those ones where, people might be having a little bit of a bias already because they've already seen recently like what's been happening with
Well, when you have a sequel, the people
Right.
that are going to want to see the sequel are the people that saw the original.
Well, and it's been a while since the
Right.
first one came out, so I think there's some people who might be like, oh, well, this is just a cash grab. They're just trying to pull more money out of a movie that was just, like, I remember watching it way back when, but it's been so long. I don't even know if it was that great of a movie. I don't remember. And so now, they're banking on it being like, oh, it's Ben Affleck. He's bringing it back. Like, it worked with The Equalizer, right? Like, they kept making, I think they did 3 Equalizer movies, and there was a pretty big gap between 2 and 3, wasn't there?
Not that big of a gap.
Or maybe it was
The accountant gap is like 9 years.
Right. But I feel
Which
like
it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but there was a little gap in between 2 and 3 for The Equalizer, but nothing like that.
Right, and that's what I was getting at. Is I think it was a little bit more acceptable, the gap that they had between 2 and 3 of Equalizer, than the gap that they're having with The Accountant between 1 and 2. And so I feel like, they should have started drumming up a little bit more interest for 2, and instead of it just being like, oh yeah, by the way, we're also doing a sequel to this. Oh, here's one trailer for it, and it's coming out next month. And I was just kind of, I felt like it was more of like a blindsided, like, hey, also
Surprise.
too.
They started marketing too late.
Right. I think that that's going to end up hurting their box office. Not that, as you mentioned, Neff, not that the movie might not be great. Just kind of, if you didn't notify people ahead of time,
We know the sweet spot.
Right.
About 3 to 5 months.
Right. And so I do think that it's going to be, at least my prediction anyway, is going to be that it's going to be Minecraft and then maybe Amateur. That's just my...
I respect it.
That's just my prediction.
Kage, what do you think?
I'm inclined to agree. Minecraft, kids' movies tend to do better.
There's not really a whole lot
And
of
they're really
options
so
other than
so it
Casting a wide
doesn't
net.
so it doesn't really have very much competition as far as kids movies. I think that could be good. It's not going to be Inside Out 2
No.
epic, or what's it called? Kung Fu Panda. It's not going to be like that. But kids movies generally do pretty well. That might be the best performer for April. Amateur, that's a bit of a wild card. I haven't really seen or heard too many trailers or people talking about it. Like you said, I saw one trailer for Amateur.
They've got like 2, at least 2 out.
Well,
There's
okay,
2, I think.
well, I've only seen one, and that was when I went to go see Nosferatu. But that's the thing. Again, one trailer is all I saw, and I'm like,
I like this
I'm
'cause
in,
it's bleeding into the last part of the conversation.
I'm
Very
in.
Good.
right? And I was like,
It got you interested.
it got me interested, and because I could tie it, I was like, this is essentially Watch Dogs the movie. I didn't want to play the game, but I want to watch
I'm
this
interested
movie.
in this, right?
I'm interested in
It's
this.
less of an investment, and it's interesting.
Yeah, you can jump in, and it's like, I don't know
It's either
anything, but
good
I
or
know
it's
enough.
not,
I know
or-
enough
right.
because I've seen too many action movies where a guy comes in, he has a particular set of skills, he's good with guns.
So how many movies this month do you think you guys are going to watch? I'm going to at least watch 2 of these.
In theaters. So I feel like 2. I feel like 2 is a
Kage?
good number.
I'm
It's
leaning.
realistic anyway.
I'm leaning more towards just seeing Amateur. It depends.
You guys can have a good
I might
conversation about that.
I might surprise everybody, and it could be like a rainy day type
Watch The Death
deal
of
where I
Snow
got.
White.
Let's not get hasty now.
That movie might really perform because people just don't like the Rachel Zegler Snow White.
See,
They
and,
might
and
like
what?
their rebellion.
And next episode, you guys, like Popcorn Square, we're gonna be doing like the episode of shame because this movie's just gonna knock it out of the park, and we were totally wrong. We are so sorry, Rachel. Okay, I just threw up on my mouth a little bit.
we are
saying
going to
that.
start doing the movie hat. Me and Buttons talked about
Oh,
that.
yes,
So we
yes.
might do that, ladies and gentlemen out there. We might start doing the movie hat, where we get all the movies for that particular month, write them down on a piece of paper, and then everyone has to pick one, and they
And
got
we're
to
not,
watch the movie
yeah,
on the
and we're
paper.
not
And we
talking
have a
about,
hat.
We're not
We
talking
actually
about
have
just
a hat,
the
you guys.
good-looking ones. We're talking about
Oh, it's gonna
the
be
ones
all
that
of
are
them.
going to be the really random off.
Oh,
It's
this
gonna
is
be so
gonna be
fun. It's spontaneity. But yeah, that goes into like the last part of the conversation, and we kind of touched it. We're not going to spend too much time on that, and we want to hear what you guys think out there that are listening. How many trailers is too many? At this point, the way cinema is moving forward and how much information we're getting in these trailers, I'm going to say it's acceptable for a teaser and an official. The second trailer is pushing it now. Superman hasn't even put out their official trailer yet. Just based off the teaser, which you could call a trailer in itself, I don't want to watch the second trailer for Superman because I figured I'm going to actually watch it now. Fantastic Four, I don't want to see another trailer for Fantastic Four. There's only one trailer for that. We've already talked about Sinners and how I'm not watching any more content on Sinners. There's at least been 4 pieces of content, I believe, for Sinners that has been released, right? Me and Buttons talked about this. It's too much. Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts has about 3 trailers and
they have
maybe
one
another
that's kind
piece
of
of
like
content. And I just talked to Buttons about this as well. Are you going to be watching Thunderbolts in May?
I think I might. It's right now. It's up in the air for me.
Should I tell you what was in the trailer or no? I'll tell you off mic.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you off mic. But I was like, I'm not really interested in Thunderbolts. And when I did see that trailer, I said, that makes it more interesting, but they shouldn't have shown that. But anyway.
I'm more interested in Thundercats. So if we can get a live action of that, I'd
Drum
be
roll.
down. Hey-o.
But Buttons, what do you think about the trailer thing? Solid number before we wrap this up?
Honestly, I think you made a good point. I wouldn't mind having 2 15 to 20-second teasers and one like 1.5 minute is like an official trailer. I feel like that's good. That's enough information. If you can't get the point across as to what your movie is about in a minute and a half, then that's you have a really weird scrambled movie that's
Right.
And if you
all
don't do
kinda
a teaser,
disorganized.
set up your trailers to where you're not giving away the whole plot of the movie, and then you can do 2 trailers. I think once we get into the teaser and then 2 trailers territory, that's where I'm starting to learn too much about this movie.
It really
and it's like,
depends, but it really depends on how far out. If you're going to give me a trailer 3 months before, then I would say 1 trailer. If you're going to give me a trailer and the movie comes out next year, well then
That should be more of a
then you
teaser.
should do 1 trailer showing, hey, we're making this, and then months next year, right, like maybe 2 or 3 months prior, remind us, hey, by the way, this movie you may have forgotten about, here's another trailer. But again, it's not about how many trailers, it's the quality of what you put into it. Not the quantity of trailers, but the quality of the content of. So if you give me 1 trailer, but you give me everything I need to see, this is what the story is, this is who the characters are. Okay, I know the gist, I'm good.
you got it. I think that's a pretty cool conversation we had, touched a lot of points there. We definitely want to hear from everybody down in the comments. We want to know what you think about the topics we talked about earlier in the middle and later on in the podcast, because like I said, we covered a bunch of stuff. We want to know what you think about these April films and what films you are interested in. Also, let us know if we talked about some films you didn't know were coming out in April that maybe have piqued your interest. Please subscribe to the channel, share this video with some friends and colleagues, let them know to subscribe as well. Hit the like as well and ring that bell for notifications so you can get notified on our next video post of the Popcorn Square podcast. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is Neff signing off with
Kage.
and
Buttons.
be safe.